In the shadowy salons of 19th century Europe, where gas lamps flickered and the air hummed with the promise of scientific wonders, Franz Mesmer captivated the elite with this mysterious animal magnetism. It was supposedly an invisible force that could heal the body while the person had been placed in a trance-like state. This new type of magnetism drew crowds desperate for and seeking cures beyond the grasp of traditional medicine. But as skepticism increased and mesmerism faded into parlor tricks, Scottish surgeon James Braid rebranded the phenomenon, calling it hypnotism in the 1840s. This rebranding managed to strip away the mysticism and frame it as a psychological tool for pain relief and behavioral change. However, this too danced on the edge of quackery. In an era where leeches and laudanum were standard fare, could these hypnotic arts truly have unlocked the mind's hidden powers? Or were they merely the first illusions in a long line of wellness deceptions that persist and continue to this very day? Mesmerism, hypnotism, and animal magnetism are all names for this healing modality which has fascinated mankind for centuries. But what do we really know about this ancient and current practice? I'm Dr. Nadine Plummer, ND, and welcome to The Healthy Skeptic. Hypnosis seems to be the power of suggestion. You could refer to it as someone speaking words into your mind, bypassing reason and planting ideas directly into your subconscious, or so it's alleged. While there is published science on this unique modality, there's still a veil of mystery around what really happens when someone is hypnotized. And here's the real question. Is it safe to allow another human being to speak into and perhaps even control our subconscious mind?
Don't know. I've been hypnotized twice years ago. It was more of a show, right? I did not develop psychosis, thankfully. Yes, I'm sure that hypnosis again, which I don't understand hypnosis that much, but I think it goes into some parts of your mind or your brain that if someone has the potential for psychosis, who knows, right? So I think with anything, there's detrimental or side effects to everything. So I think again, if I had any kind of mental affliction, whether it was, bipolar disorder or severe anxiety or anything like that, I want to read the research and I want to see what the effect of hypnosis is. My cousin, anecdotal, quit smoking with hypnosis 40 years ago, never started again. And I think, again, even I'm going to say for quitting smoking, you have to be ready. I think no amount of therapy, there's a model of change, the trans-theoretical model of change that says if people are in that pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, and if you're not at the point where you're going to take action, if you're still pre-contemplating would be, well, I got to die of something. So what if I die of lung cancer from smoking? If you're there, it's not going to work. You can do hypnosis, you can take medication. It might move you along the model of change to get to a place where you're ready for action. But I think you have to be ready. I'm an ex-smoker. How many times did I quit? 200 times? Until I quit for good. So one of the things on the trans-theoretical model is after the action is maintenance, and the last component of the trans-theoretical model of change is relapse. So for any habit, there is always going to be relapse. And you're not a failure if you've relapsed. You're not a loser. You have relapse, which is a natural shift in when you're trying to change a certain habit, and you can relapse 200 times, maybe like I did. And finally, I'm in maintenance. I've been in maintenance for many years now.
And now, look deep, deep into my eyes. If you stay focused long enough, you will begin to notice some skepticism. But we decided to speak with a practitioner who's not as skeptical. We wanted to ask her about this modality so we could better understand what hypnotism is and how it works. Hi, Tara. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Tara, can you tell us a bit about your background and what it was that drew you to hypnotherapy?
Well, I'm a certified clinical hypnotherapist, and what drew me to hypnotherapy was the idea of using your subconscious mind to heal your body. I just found that fascinating.
Okay, that's actually a good segue into my next question. How does hypnotherapy work?
Hypnotherapy works by just relaxing the body and allowing your mind to just be settled, and then we can speak to the subconscious mind.
And are there different types of hypnotherapy?
Well, you can use hypnotherapy for pretty much almost anything.
And what type, or are there classifications of different hypnotherapy, or is it just general hypnotherapy?
Yes, there are many different ways that you can use hypnotherapy. It can be used in any kind of medical or dental setting. For example, birthing, or in place of a sedative when you're having dental work. For me, what I offer my clients is hypnotherapy for any bad habits or relationship problems, phobias, smoking, weight loss, any kind of stress or frustration that they're dealing with in their daily lives.
And what do you enjoy most about hypnotherapy?
What I enjoy most is watching the transformation that I have with my clients. I see them come in and they're having their, sometimes it's smoking, but usually there's something more behind it. And I love that whole process of trying to figure out what exactly they need. Yes, it might be for smoking, but it might be also that they're in a relationship that is not serving them. And so the whole process is digging a little bit deeper to get the healing that they require.
And you said what you like most is the transformation.
I love the transformation.
Can you tell us, or something that comes to mind, of a success story that you've had with hypnotherapy?
I've had a few. The first that comes to mind is I had a gentleman come in for smoking, and after one session he quit smoking. So that was pretty cool. Sometimes it does take a couple sessions, so that was pretty great for him to have the one and he was done. The second that comes to mind was somebody that was really having issues with relationships, and he was self-sabotaging and he really couldn't figure it out. So through a couple sessions we were able to figure out what his issue was, and he is now happily engaged. Another client that I can think of, she had severe panic when she was driving. She had been in a car accident, and every time she got into the car and had to turn left, she had severe anxiety. And in one session, she was able to drive home. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So if you're speaking to the subconscious mind, that's you said that's the way that hypnotherapy works.
Yes.
After the sessions, at the end of the sessions, do the patients ever revert back to the issue? Or once you talk to the subconscious mind, is it changed and they never go back?
It really depends on the person and how they respond to hypnotherapy. I usually suggest them to come back for a session, especially if they've seen some great results, and even if they haven't, which usually isn't the case. But I always suggest, one or two more after the first one, just to solidify whatever progress they had.
I've seen a few hypnotherapists, you probably have as well, like on TV, where someone's told you're a chicken and then they act like a chicken, and then maybe difficulties with going back to not being a chicken. Do you know of any negative aspects of hypnotherapy or anything you'd have to be careful of?
Well, hypnotherapy is not stage hypnosis. It's not a gimmick, or it's not mind control. The client is always in control. The session is really no different than a very deep state of meditation or meditative prayer. You're just going to that next level right before sleep, and that's when the mind is calm and ready to accept positive affirmations.
Any negative aspects of hypnotherapy?
I think if you're seeing a certified clinical hypnotherapist, which I am, you are safe. There's nothing to be afraid of. It's all positive.
And so what would you say to people who are skeptical of hypnotherapy?
I would, again, remind them that it's not mind control, that the client is always in control. You decide how deep you want to go. Trance is a very natural state that we're in throughout the day. And what's hypnotherapy is just accessing that natural state to create change.
Tara, is there anything else you want to tell us about hypnotherapy as we're wrapping up?
I think hypnotherapy is such a versatile way to treat any kind of ailment. It's very gentle. It's natural. You can do it online. You don't have to be in person. It's very safe.
For you personally, why did you choose hypnotherapy as a modality to use to help people?
It was kind of a journey for me. I was actually doing dating events, and then I was doing confidence and coaching with the dating events. But then I could tell that there was always a part with some people that just couldn't get past the talk therapy part. And so I was kind of digging, thinking there might be something more that I could offer my clients. And I stumbled upon hypnotherapy.
And have you had hypnotherapy sessions yourself?
Oh, yes. Yeah. While we're learning, we're constantly performing hypnotherapy on each other. So I've seen all sides of it.
And was it transformative?
Yes, actually, the very first one I had, I felt a huge change, just like a big relief. And that's the other thing I'd like to add is that I think a lot of times people come to me when they're kind of at their wits' end, and hypnotherapy offers them a little bit of hope.
Tara, you said that you are a certified clinical hypnotherapist, correct?
Yes.
What do you think the dangers are of people going to someone for hypnotherapy who isn't certified, or maybe they watch a video or something and they think, hey, I'm going to give this a try?
Well, when it's done correctly, it is very safe. I just wouldn't want to trust myself with someone who didn't understand the whole process of what hypnotherapy is. Again, it's not mind control, but if you're using it in a setting that is not for positive reasons, I just wouldn't want anyone to put themselves in that position. Because you are not going to be aware of what they are trying to put in your subliminal mind. Again, you're only going to accept what you want, but I wouldn't want to go to somebody that wasn't trained to do this the proper way.
So they could put things in your mind that you are not fully aware of.
Well, you'll be aware, but for me, I would not want to go to somebody that didn't have my best intentions.
Great. Thank you so much for your time today, Tara.
Thank you.
So far, this modality sounds mostly measured and controlled. But is that really the case? We heard a recent story about hypnotism that pushed the boundaries. So we decided to reach out to understand what happened.
Action.
Hi, Herb. Thank you so much for being here today.
It's great to be here.
Herb, we've been doing some research on hypnosis. I just want to ask you a few questions.
Sure.
Have you ever been hypnotized?
I've never been hypnotized myself.
So not having been hypnotized, have you ever seen someone being
Absolutely.
hypnotized or had an experience with hypnotism?
Yeah, I sure have, yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, when I was like 15 or 16 years old, I was, it's an unusual place for this to happen, but a bunch of my friends and I were at our church. And this guy came up, a visitor. He's a lot older than us. Came up and he says, hey, you guys want to do something fun? Let's go downstairs, do something fun. Well, I'm a rebellious teenager. Of course, I'm up for some fun. So we go downstairs. I don't know a clue what he's talking about fun, but we go down, a whole bunch of us kids, probably 7 or 8 kids. And we go downstairs and wondering, how's this guy going to lead out in fun and what's it going to be? And he says, okay. He says, what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you how to hypnotize and be hypnotized. And he says, why don't we just start out? Who wants to be first? Well, one of our friends said, oh, yeah, okay, I will. So we all kind of walked away. He started hypnotizing this person, came back, and they said, okay, you're a dog, and the table of that leg over there is a fire hydrant, so what are you going to do? Wow, this was hilarious. A friend of ours go over their hands and knees, and then they, go over to that table and do what dogs do. And we're like, oh, we're all laughing. So we did a bunch of these funny type things, that get us all going and laughing. But then it started to get a little more serious. And this whole thing, and all the parents are upstairs, and us youth are downstairs with this guy, which we don't even know who he is. And then he gets more serious with his stuff. And then a lot of it, this goes on for half hour, 45 minutes of all these different little things that he's having people do. And they wanted to hypnotize me, and I'm thinking, yeah, I don't know. It just didn't quite settle with me, right? Even though it was fun, but all the rest were, oh yeah, let's do it. You can hypnotize me and all that. So he takes this frail type girl, a friend of ours, and he hypnotizes her, and he says, we're going to put your heels on one chair and your head on another chair. Well, I'm a strapping young guy playing hockey and everything. I don't think I could do that back then even. And so they put her heels on one chair and head on the other chair and said, you're stiff as a board. And he's telling her, you can't bend, and there's no way that that you'll ever bend. You're a board and blah. He does all this stuff. And there she is. So he takes his hands away from once they set up, and she's got her arms crossed like this, and she's stiff as a board, doesn't even bend. And I'm thinking, that's weird. There's something wrong with that. So then he says, okay, a couple of you guys sit on her. So we go over and treat her like a bench and sit on her, and she doesn't bend. Well, immediately I knew this is supernatural. Not that I was a physiologist or anything and understood muscle structure or bone structure, but I thought, this is impossible. And so that's when I got a little bit freaked out. I thought, this is supernatural. And so then in my head, I'm thinking, supernatural. Okay, that means it's got to be either the good power or the bad power. It's either going to be God or it's going to be the devil, because you can't do this kind of stuff. And that one hypnotic act that he did just threw a real chill in me. And then he spent the rest of his time with everybody teaching how to hypnotize, and I kind of conveniently just slipped out because I thought, as rebellious as I was, I thought I can't handle that one. Somebody teaching me how to do hypnotism when I can see that one act tells me there's something up. So it teaches all the rest. So we go on. Now we're all in Christian school, and now the other kids that were taught to hypnotize, and you would think there'd be a lot of technique to it or whatever. No, they didn't have to do much. And so they're now bringing it into the school. So when the teachers are gone, they're hypnotizing people to do all sorts of weird things, and everybody's laughing. So this just becomes something to play with. Well, and they kept saying, well, let's hypnotize you, Herb. And I said, no, I'm not getting involved with that. I was a leader for trouble, but I wasn't that much of a leader to be involved. And they said, well, we'll teach you how. I said, no, I don't want to be involved with that. But I would watch and I'd laugh, and I thought, this is really entertaining. But there was something in me just said, just don't get involved. Well, it just kept going on and on. This goes on for months. And then one night they planned a big party. One of my friends plans a big party. We all lie to our parents that his folks are going to be home, which they weren't going to be home. So then we all go to his place, and the parents aren't home. And what are you going to do for entertainment? Well, everybody brought out a little booze and stuff because we're all rebellious teenagers. So everybody's drinking a little bit to be tough and that kind of stuff. But then they said, let's do some hypnotism stuff. And so they would take someone in another room and hypnotize them to do stupid, crazy stuff. And then they'd come out, and at first it was all funny stuff. But then it got more serious. And I was there with this girl who wasn't very large, very big. And so they took her in the other room, and I thought, yeah, that's weird. And I didn't know what they're doing to her to hypnotize him, but she comes back in, and they told her that she's going to be this she-beast that can't move very fast but has superpowers until she gets right up to me, and she's going to come after me. Well, I'm standing in the kitchen, and all of a sudden around the door she comes, and she's just like, I don't know how you can look more demonic from that. And she comes at me really slow, and it's freaky. And she's at me, hissing and looking at me. And I'm like, okay, that isn't even physically possible to contort your face like that and stuff. This is what I'm experiencing now, right? So she comes up closer and closer, and I'm getting really defensive. I really want to run, but I can't run because I'm a tough guy. And when she gets about 2-3 feet from him, she just goes hyperactive, and it's just scratching and clawing and swinging, and I'm trying to defend myself now. And so I try to push her away, and I can hardly push her away. And she's coming at me. And so finally I grab her, and because I'm getting freaked out, and I realize I'm having a hard time physically handling her. I grab her and slam her to the floor, and I'm trying to hold her down. And now I'm getting ticked off because I'm realizing I can't even hold this girl down, and she's at me. So I'm hollering, get her out of it, get her out of it, get her out of it. And somebody, announces a word or whatever, and she comes out. Oh, she couldn't have been much more than 100 pounds. And I was like, at that time, 150 pounds, playing hockey and everything else.
And you were finding it hard to control her?
I could not control her. And that's why I slammed her physically to the ground. I mean, who does that to a girl, especially when you go to the party with her? It's just like, I had no other option in my mind at the time, as I have to get her off me. And yeah, right. So anyway, so then it carries on, and this other friend of mine, they take him and they hypnotize. We don't know what they're hypnotizing him to be, but they said, you're the Boston Strangler. And as soon as he comes out of there, he's screaming and he's chasing all of us. And if it got into, I had to have a fist fight with this friend, it wouldn't be a problem. I could take him out. You know what I mean? It's just like, so I wasn't afraid of the physical, but what I was afraid of is the hyperactivity, the hyper strength and everything. And he starts chasing us. Well, I and another friend just split, and we go running through the house, and he's chasing everybody. And so we run into a bathroom. And he decides to home in on us. So the two of us run into the bathroom, we slam the door shut, we're holding the door shut, and he's hitting the door so hard with his body that it's bending in like this, freaking us right out. And the next thing you know, we see his hand come right through the door, and there's splinters. This is his parents' house. He punches right through the door, and then we're just like trying to hold the door shut, and his hand's in there. Now he's trying to get it out. Well, all the splinters are going the wrong way. So he rips his hand all up, coming out, and gets his hand out of there. I don't know how he did it. He gets it out, and he takes off and chases someone else. And we're in there, and my heart's just pounding, because I know this isn't just fun stuff. We're talking serious supernatural power here now. Nobody's hand comes through, even though it might be 2 layers of plywood. So anyway, then he chases this girl, and she's running. Another girl, she just kind of started coming around, hanging around us, and she runs outside in the front yard. He catches her and starts strangling her. And this is now everybody's screaming and hollering. This is just like right out of control. He's got her on the front yard. By then, I come out of the bathroom with this other friend and come out, and he's got her around the neck, choking her. And the girl who hypnotized him was so freaked out about what was going on, she couldn't remember how to get him out. And then the neighbors are hearing all this screaming and hollering, and he's out there, and we try to get his hands off of him and everything else, and I keep screaming, get him out of this, get him out of this, get him out of this. And finally, she remembers, whatever the magic word or whatever it was, and everybody goes limp, and he's out of it. And so that was pretty much it for most of us. We realized, okay, this got way out of control. This isn't a game anymore. And so I decided I don't want anything to do with this stuff. I'm not even going to observe it when everybody else does it for fun, because I've got enough sense to know that this is supernatural. And pretty convinced that it's from the dark side. Why I'd have to be even convinced. Anyhow, so then what happens is some of them, though, wanted to keep on this path. Well, I got to tell you something. It led them darker and darker and darker till one night, because they came back and told me about this, they had a seance. This now is where you're using satanic stuff. And they have candles and everything in this basement of one of their homes. And one of our friends, he's older than us, one of our friends, like 3-4 years older than I am, the family got in a car accident, and his dad had got killed. And he witnessed his dad dying in the car. And so he wanted to talk to his dad again. So they have this seance. And I don't want to freak people out, but this is the very story they told me after this was all done. They were so freaked out, they slept with their Bibles for the next 6 months, because they couldn't get this out of their minds. So they thought it's just going to be, oh yeah, he could talk to his dad or whatever else. But this is where this hypnotism led to. That's the point. And so they said all of a sudden the temperature in the room just dropped, like substantially colder. They said the curtains moved a little bit on the window. They're in a basement, a higher window. And then all of a sudden they start to hear this gurgling noise, and it's his dad reliving his dad's death. And that did it. When they hear him dying, nothing visual, hear this, they just all split. And then the one, like I said, they came and I was talking to them later, and we went to a youth retreat out in Banff, Alberta. And we're all staying out there, and they were so freaked out, and this is already a month later, and this is when he told me, he says, you wouldn't believe what I did, what we did. Told me this story. And anyways, so from there, not one of those, I hate to say it this way, but I don't know of any one of those kids who ever stayed with God to this day. It was a slippery slope. It's like taking a mild drug and having that lead you into something deeper. Hypnotism, because I saw it firsthand, I witnessed it. Hypnotism is an entry point for demonic occupation ultimately. And what proof do I have of that other than I saw it and I know it's supernatural? And having chosen to follow God, I have discernment to know that that didn't come from God. It came from somewhere. Clearly, it's the dark side.
Wow, what an intriguing interview. Although Herb was not hypnotized himself, he witnessed firsthand the effects of hypnotism. Herb told us the story of a young girl who was only 100 pounds, and yet under hypnosis, he was unable to tackle her and nearly unable to defend himself. He also told us the story of a man who was at the point of nearly murdering someone under hypnosis. This is the power of hypnosis. It's told in a way that I haven't heard before. Well, we have heard that hypnosis might help some people break habits and addictions such as smoking. But on the other hand, there's evidence of hypnosis promoting false memories, dependency, and even trauma. People think hypnosis is fun and harmless. However, there are multiple anecdotes where hypnosis wasn't fun in any way or measure, such as Herb's story, where what seemed like fun ended up having very serious and long-standing repercussions. Finally, Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 5 warns against trusting in people. It says, "Cursed is the one who trusts in man, who draws strength from mere flesh, and whose heart turns away from the Lord." And Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23 says, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." The heart here refers to the core of one's thoughts and to both their mind and their will. We see here that Scripture, our greatest authority, warns us to only consider yielding our minds to God and not to yield our minds to anything or to any man. So what's the verdict? I'm very skeptical about recommending hypnosis. Hypnosis could be seen as a type of subliminal manipulation, but God offers us ongoing counsel and transformation. The serpent in Eden exemplifies the dangers of suggestion and the dangers of surrendering our minds to an unknown source or a source of nefarious intent. But God shows us the blessings of surrendering our minds to Him. Because in the end, the question isn't whether your mind will be influenced or not. It is by whom will it be influenced. On that note, my friends, stay selectively skeptical.